Hey, welcome to CapChat, the show that connects you to the faces, voices, and stories of Cap Fam. I'm one of your hosts, John Honaker, and we're going to start a new season, season 2 of CapChat. There's 10 more episodes. We're diving into areas of study, majors. We're talking about student life. We're talking about all things that is college student, and we're super excited. I'm joined again by another one of our co-hosts that you're familiar with, Mary Claire. She's amazing. She's not with me on this intro, but we get together and we tear it up as we talk to faculty, we talk to students, talk to everybody, because we want to get into the mind of a student. We're trying to figure this out. So join us, season 2 of CapChat, and here's episode 1. Hey, what's going on? This is CapChat Season 2, Episode 1. The very first, we are talking all things music, and we have some incredible guests that are going to say all these different things, all these different opportunities in the Conservatory of Music at Capital University. So why don't you introduce yourselves, and we'll get right into it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Kitchel, and I'm Area Head of Music Education in the Conservatory.
Hey, everyone. My name's Chad Loughrige. I am the head of the Music Technology program at Capital.
Hey, I'm Dan Messersmith, and I'm a second-year BA Music Tech student.
Awesome. So we have a lot of different walks of life.
Yeah, right.
Not to get philosophical. No, this is great. So let's start addressing all these things by talking about what is the Conservatory of Music at Capital University, and what all does it hold?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I will speak on kind of a lot of the things that I hear a lot of people describing. You hear about schools of music and Conservatory of Music. It's like, what in the world does that mean?
Are they one and the same?
No, they're not. It
Okay.
seems it turns out, the way the Conservatory runs is that we're really performance heavy in our Bachelor of Music programs. And that's really the tradition of a Conservatory of Music, is that you have your academic area of study, but almost like a second major, you are considered, you're required to be really proficient on your instrument as well, on whether that be an instrument, a traditional instrument, or voice.
Wow.
It's really heavily focused on performance, which might be a little different than a school of music that's a little bit more on the academic side of things.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really difficult. You asked, what is a conservatory? I don't think the conservatory is one thing.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
wide variety of things with a wide variety of students. But yeah, at the end of the day, because it's a conservatory, there is a expectation that the students that come through are going to have a certain level of training on their main instrument.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we have, Dan, you said that you're a BA
Yes.
Music Tech.
Mm-hmm. So I focus on primarily the audio production and music production kind of stuff in the conservatory. I am a conservatory student, but I don't focus on an instrument. I don't take those kind of performance classes, and I don't take any personal lessons.
Okay, so let's try to get through the weeds for, potential incoming students or current students that are like, I didn't even know this was available.
Right.
I go to school here. So we have the Conservatory, which houses music technology, which can be either a Bachelor of Arts, a BA,
Right.
or
Right.
a BM,
Or Bachelor of Music, right.
Music Tech. And then there is music education,
Right.
performance,
Yes.
composition.
Yes.
Oh my, like more? How much more can we cram into? That is crazy. So there is a lot of different areas of study in this department of Capital University.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, kind of the emphasis being on, well, maybe I should start by describing like what's a BM degree? Like what does a Bachelor of Music degree even mean? Well, most of the time in most universities, you're going to have like a core set of programming that you're going to take. So imagine you're coming in as a Bachelor of Music, music education, and percussion as your performance instrument, right? You're going to take a core set of music courses that is going to include music theory. There's going to be piano. We always joke that you don't have to be a piano player to get into Capital, but you have to be a piano player when you leave Capital. You have to be able to play Happy Birthday, when somebody says it's, the family gatherings, that sort of thing. And there's an expectation there. So you will have to take maybe some arrangement courses. You're required to be in ensembles. I mean, that doesn't sound like much of a requirement. If you love music and it's like, oh, what do you mean I have to go to school and actually have to play my instrument? That sounds great, you know. So there's a requirement. There's a requirement to take lessons. So that core set of coursework is kind of what is considered to be a Bachelor of Music degree in any one of the areas of study, whether it be music technology, a BM music technology, the composition area, the jazz studies area, or the music education area. Everybody in the conservatory will take those courses. And then in the areas that you are focusing on, music technology or music, you have coursework that you would take in those areas.
Right. So you start out, everybody kind of starts out about the same. They'll end up kind of in those same core classes. But then as they move through the program and on in years at Capitol, they focus more and more into their area of study. So as a freshman, a lot of the incoming freshmen are taking the same basic types of classes.
Right.
But by the time they're seniors, they're in their very specialized types of courses.
All the things that we listed.
Right.
Well, what does that, and I want to see, Dan, you know, in studying the BA, what were some other courses or what are some other experiences that you got being there? I know you said, you know, you don't have the instrument that you're taking lessons on, you aren't in ensembles, but tell me a little bit about your experience as a BA music tech.
Instead of taking those kinds of lessons or theory classes, a lot of times I'm focusing on the entrepreneurial skills and networking skills in some of the other classes. I'm also taking actually a business minor to kind of round out my networking skills and my job opportunities in the future. But I start in, first semester, we get into an intro to music technology class, and it breaks down what we're doing and what it encapsulates. And sometimes people get into this and they're like, you know, really, I don't want to be recording. I actually do want to be playing. And the recording thing, I thought I liked it, but it turns out not to be for me. That wasn't my case. I really do like recording. I like doing live sound and that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely sticking with it.
That's great. So with all these different kind of paths, are we seeing a lot of like students being able to be open to different opportunities? Like, hey, I got into this. I was a BA, now I'm going to switch to a BM, or a music education. I want to, do more performance. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. So that's actually what I think is one of the best things about Capitol is that I think a lot of times people think, oh, it's a small university. There's not a lot of opportunity there. But what you're hearing right now is that there's actually tons of different majors and different opportunities for career paths as you go along. So there aren't just you're not coming in with just a few choices. You have a wide variety of choices. And I think the faculty here are really good about helping students find themselves. I think we embrace the idea that nobody really has their whole life planned out at 18. Right. And many students come in and they love music, and that's awesome, but they don't always know what that means. Whether I love music and I want to do this as a career my whole life, or I love music and I want to do this for fun my whole life, because those are different things. But helping students find which path they want to go on, that's something I think all our advisors are committed to doing. And the great thing is when they come here, because many of them start out the same with those kind of core classes, they have some time to figure that out. Right. And sit down with their advisors and go, oh, hey, I really do love like this recording thing. Or, I wanted to go in education, but I'm finding I love performance. Or, hey, I started out in performance, but I think I actually want to teach. And I think there's a lot of room for our students to kind of grow into finding themselves, because there are so many opportunities.
And no one's siloed at Capitol, especially not in the conservatory. It's for a first year student that comes in and they're not maybe 100% certain, they maybe come in as let's say music composition, and then they start seeing what a music ed student they're able to see action happening. There's activity going on all the time, and so I might have a student that comes to the university in one degree, but because of things that they see us doing in the music technology program, it's like, wow, first of all, I didn't realize Capitol had that, right? I didn't know that was a job, and oh my gosh, they teach that here, and I could, do that as my career. So that's really exciting is when, and I like to go the other way too, is if I see a student in our program that starts to show an interest in another area, we're not here to try to silo ourselves in our programs. It's really important that we find our students the place where they should be, and sometimes they don't realize that or come to that until maybe their first or second year. So there's a couple times I've had some conversations that, you know what, I think you're going to be better at this, or the students will come to me and be like, you know what, this is not for me. I didn't realize, but they don't leave Capital. That's the coolest thing about it. They stay at Capital because they found something else here that they really enjoyed.
Yeah. And well, you guys have all but said it. It sounds like, these students are creating their network already in their classes. You start off.
Yes, for sure.
And you want to talk about that? Like you're like, I already have two companies.
I've already had some nice, really interesting opportunities. My first semester, I was actually able to, meet a lot of BMs because I joined an ensemble to do their live sound. It's the fusion ensemble, jazz fusion ensemble we have here on campus, and I've really enjoyed doing that. I just finished up my third semester doing sound with them. And just this last week, I went to New Orleans to do sound for a jazz education conference out there.
You're not allowed to go to New Orleans and have fun. This is education, okay? This is serious, non-fun. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that sounds really great.
Yeah, this year I went to New Orleans, and last year I went to Reno, and it's all because I joined this ensemble just to do some live sound, and I've met some really great people. I've learned a lot through these past two conferences I've gone to. And I've met so many really nice BM students who I might not otherwise see if I wasn't in that class with them. So
yeah, the difference that I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like what you said, it's conservatory music versus school of music versus something like we said music tech instead of like audio engineering is another difference of, because it's alongside all these advanced, pretty, I'm going to say difficult because they're difficult courses, whether it's music performance, music education, and for good merit, it's good that is the way it is, that it's not just like an audio engineering degree or something like that. It is music technology, which is because it's in that atmosphere of all this.
Umbrella.
It's a bigger umbrella.
Well, I think it's real important in all of our programs that the umbrella is kind of cast pretty big.
Right.
The net is, and because this day and age, students don't have the opportunity to have too much of a singular focus. Much of the music industry, and I kind of bring all of that into everything is the music industry. Students leaving for a career in music, they have to be entrepreneurial and be ready for a lot of what ifs. Yeah. What if I need to do this with myself? What if I need to do this?
Right.
Or if things come my way, am I prepared for this and that sort of thing?
As a student, the last thing I want to do is be pigeonholed and only be able to be hireable for one sort of job in the music industry.
I mean, eventually you'll focus, eventually, but when you're first starting out, being able to have multiple forms of revenue, different revenue streams is really important.
Yeah.
We have, I'd say it's about half and half, John. We have about 50% of our students that would go and get a traditional, I would call 9-to-5 job that pays, their taxes for you and insurance and all that sort of thing. But the way that, we hear about the gig economy so much these days, and it's it has less of a bad context, I think, now more than ever.
The gig economy, what you're referring to is like used to be like, oh, you're freelancer, you're just work is hit or miss, it's feast or famine, all those connotations. But the gig economy was here to stay. It is now very well established, and now what you're seeing and what I'm understanding is a lot of people are getting multiple revenue streams, whether they're in a technology, music tech form, or like music education where there's lessons and then you're teaching at an organization or
I think this is just across all degrees now. You talked about siloing earlier, and I just think the music industry as a whole, what is the music industry, is much less siloed than before. I frequently have parents ask me, what is our placement rate in music education, right? What's your placement rate?
Can I ask you that now?
Yeah, well, it's 100%.
What is your, excuse me?
100%. But,
oh, wow.
But the reality is...
All right, cool. Episode over. This is great. Thanks.
Most parents assume that means that you went the traditional siloed route where, now you're placed in a school and you're doing that. Well, that just means that all our students got a job. But all of our students, they're out doing a variety of things. Even though they have a degree in education, we have many of them that are out in teaching and have the traditional 9-to-5 teaching job. We have many of them that are out performing for a while. We have some of them that are church musicians. We have some that go on and get a master's degree.
More school,
Yeah, so there's just so many different avenues. And I think you were talking about opportunities. This is where all of those opportunities for travel and internships and the relationships that you build when you're out in the field and working on your craft, it really makes a difference, because when you graduate, you don't feel, like you said, pigeonholed into doing one particular thing.
It's so important. We've said it in a lot of other episodes. I'll say it again. You are building your network when you're here. Your peers, your classmates are going to be your peers. They're going to be your friends. They're going to be your competition. They're going to be your collaborators.
Yeah, the collaborator. And then,
employers.
I record a ton of people that I went to school with, so they are my employer too,
Right.
So yeah, it's a lifelong thing that you're in when you're in music. And music's an interesting career opportunity, because it's a passion that you have. It's a love of music. It's a love of your instrument. And then to be able to make that love a career path is a pretty exciting thing.
Yes.
Not many people get to do that, which is,
Can we talk about maybe the music scene as a whole in Columbus, Ohio, which, Capitol is in Bexley, which is in the pocket of Columbus, is what we usually say. What does the music industry look like in Columbus, Ohio? Are there opportunities right here?
I mean, John, I can go straight to an example. It's just happened to me. I have a group of students that are about ready to do an audio recording, and the requirements of the recording is to do some sort of singer-songwriter recording in the studio. And sometimes at the university, the students find themselves easily in a bubble. It's like, well, they have to go find an artist, and they can find their friends and that sort of thing. And I wanted them to branch out. And we've got this amazing city with amazing music going on. So there's an organization called the Columbus Songwriters Association.
Okay.
So, via Facebook, I reach out and I say, hey, I have the opportunity for your members to come in and get some free recording as guinea pigs for my students. And I already have 13 people that have signed up to do this project. So, that right away shows you that it's a great music industry. There's tons of music going on and really cool pockets of people that we can connect with and connect our students with. I don't know, Dan, what are you doing when it comes to the music scene in Columbus?
Meeting all these students here, I didn't think I was going to broaden my horizons like I did when I came to Capitol, but I started to learn a lot more about the jazz music down here, and with doing sound for the Fusion Ensemble. And also there's a huge, really big rock scene down here, alternative, underground kind of stuff, and also a lot of hip hop going on as well. And I have friends who are recording with hip hop artists on Capitol's campus and elsewhere, and it's really alive and well. So.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I think another cool thing too is because the scene in Columbus is so big, a lot of our faculty are really active performers. And I think that's an important thing.
Yeah.
If you're taking lessons from someone and you're a performance major, you want to be with someone that is also an active performer and understands what that is. And so I think so many of our faculty are connected to that scene and they themselves are performing. And I think that makes a big difference as well.
Huge.
That's great. Thanks, guys, for sharing that. Okay, wow. You guys are blazing through these subjects really fast. Not going to look at my producer over there, but let's talk about, so we talked about conservatory versus school music. We mentioned BM vocal ed with emphasis versus BFA musical theater. Was that your note?
I think one thing that makes Capitol really unique is that we have a very active opera and musical theater program. We have a really great partnership with Opera Columbus that our opera students, our performers have an opportunity to do and see and be a part of. This semester, they're actually performing with Opera Columbus, which is really cool. But we have a great balance between opera and musical theater. So many other schools, if you're in performance, it's kind of opera, like you said before, it's kind of siloed into this is opera, or maybe only the theater department does musical theater. Right. But the conservatory actually has a beautiful balance of both, and it's open to all students. You don't have to be a performance major to be in these classes or ensembles or productions. And so it's a great opportunity.
Man, that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about music success stories, whatever, as faculty, and then maybe, I don't know if your peer group or maybe, you, your friends, whatever. What are some stories that stick out with people from the conservatory music? I'm not included,
right.
Chad.
I'm sorry, man. No. They go on and on and on. I mean, that is probably the proudest part of my job, is being able to hear about these success stories. I mean, the students that go on and you're like, you work so hard during these 4 years, and, and we work so hard to get you where you want to be. And sometimes, those two things what you want to do and what actually ends up happening doesn't always align.
Right.
But then seeing the students are successful and happy at what they're doing, then it doesn't matter. It's just super important. So, I mean, we had a student that's a current senior right now that did his internship last semester, who now has a credit as assistant engineer on the newest Pixies album. I mean, It can just go straight from you are in school to now you are a credited assistant engineer on a major label record, So that is happening all the time. But a lot of students that come in specifically to music tech, an 18-year-old might have that vision of working with a rock band in a recording studio.
Right.
But we're here to show students that every sort of media that we consume is probably going to have a sound engineer involved.
Right.
And there's a lot of areas that our students might not be familiar with that they end up going on to because we've exposed them to those things. So we have a student right now that's getting a master's degree in audiology. We have a student that's getting his Ph.D. in law to talk about intellectual property. He wants to move down to Nashville. We have students that are live sound engineers that are all over the world touring, getting to go to Japan and Sweden and, doing audio and sound for these bands.
Oh my goodness.
Students that own their own recording studios, students that are freelance audio engineers for sports audio. It goes on and on and on because the music industry is huge. There's just a lot of opportunity.
And I think that idea that we don't have to necessarily define this is successful. I mean, for some students, their success is, they graduated, they got a job, they're in the area, they're very happy. I mean, that's, I don't think we have all different kinds of measures of success, and some are, active performers, but for some, just being able to put together, being an entrepreneur enough to put together a performing career, that's very successful, or just getting a job as a high school choir director. I think there's all different measures of success, and I think we see all of them across the boards with our students.
Solid. Thank you for mentioning that. That is something that I hear all the time from my friend group of what is success? You got people having kids, you got people doing all these things, new parents being like, what is success? Am I getting something in my career or something that I've studied? It's very different. So solid. Thank you. I love that. No pressure, Dan. You're going to be successful, right? Come on. The pressure is on.
Yeah. I mean, well, I might not, I not yet. I don't have any like personal success stories of people that I know. I do know that the professors here at Capitol are really equipping me with a lot of different tools for my success in the future. So
it's huge. All right. So we talked about success stories. Anything that, again, this podcast is listened to by potential incoming students, current students, parents of students. And so there's a lot of questions that come, especially from parents. What are some of the most, common questions that you get about the conservatory, music as a whole, and how do you answer those?
Yeah, that's really good. So I would say first, I do think it's really important that you find a community and a university where you're comfortable. I think, it's really important that you said, hey, no, this is where I'm going to be successful. Because I think, being in a place where you don't feel comfortable, it doesn't set you up well for success. I think that's important. A lot of questions I get from parents are the very practical questions of, things like, what are your placement rates? But also they want to know, what is the curriculum? Some of the questions that I wish parents would ask are some of the things that I think we do really well. Like, how do we support students? What are the things that we do to make sure that students are coming to college and transitioning into that new environment? Being away from home and taking credit hours for the first time and having to manage their own time. Those are some of the things that I think we really work hard at Capitol to do well with students.
Especially with that huge workload of practice, everything we
Yes.
talked about, that very intense.
Right. Kind of the multitasking that takes place when you're a music major, and sometimes the high credit load that happens when you're a music major as well. So I get a lot of the practical questions, but some of the ones that I wish that parents heard and that students heard incoming is that we have faculty and advisors that are really committed, like we said before, to helping you adjust, helping you find the major that you want to find, that you don't have to start and end in the same place.
Right.
And that we have a lot of support systems here to help students that are away from home for the first time and are dealing with, being in a strange environment and being away from their friends and family.
Yeah. This, a lot of industries are going towards this way where I sense, and sometimes I'm asked directly, it's like, well, why can't I just go learn this on YouTube, right? it's kind of a scary thing, our industry of the music technology industry, I mean, there's a lot of things you can learn
There's
on YouTube.
great resources on YouTube.
And it's amazing. Here's the thing that I think...
This episode paid for by YouTube.
Right. Right. What we give back is feedback, is two-way communication. It's the ability to do a project, to use the equipment, to use your skills, mess up if you need to,
Right.
and get feedback on how to do better next time. And then do it again and get feedback again. Capital, I've always loved the fact that, in some of my classes, I have 4 students in my class. That is incredible to be able to provide feedback for. I know every student's names. I know what areas they're interested in. I know what genres of music they are really good at and which ones we need to, focus on, that sort of thing. But that's probably the biggest thing, I think, is that ability to provide feedback in our classes to students in this technology-driven industry that we're in. It's a really big deal.
That really helps with the support system as well. It's good to know that I have people behind me to help me work on my craft and hone in my skills and my precision of my mixing, different things like that.
I think Capital also in general is more of a mentoring university than a competitive university.
What would that contrast and compare? What does that mean?
So let's say, for example, in our program, the music technology program, we want our upperclassmen having younger students, first year, second year students, come into sessions with them, help them out, be the fly on the wall, move microphones around, and teach each other, as opposed to constantly making about, mix competitions and songwriting competitions.
Right.
And, just that competitive, like, I don't want to share any of my secrets with you because you're my competition. No, it's not about that, right? For us, it's about let's all learn together and get better together.
Yeah.
One of the first sessions I had where I came in and helped an upperclassman work, he's in the advanced recording techniques class. And the first thing I did was I taught him how to do something on Pro Tools. So we're all learning.
We're all learning, that's right.
And it's helping me to build my network as well, meeting all these different types of
You
people.
don't have to click that every time. There's a shortcut. Just do this. That's amazing. No, I'm a testament to that. I was a BM, Bachelor of Music major, and I struggled in a lot of my music music theory classes. And I had 2 tutors, one in performance and one in education, giving me lessons that were seniors. And so, I'm completely agree.
I think that's true across the boards too. And not just in the music tech, but also in performance. I would say there are some places you can go where that is extremely competitive.
Right.
But I think this is more of a mentoring. The upperclassmen are here to help. The studios are not out to get each other. They're out to support each other and network and help each other grow and learn. And I think that's just true across the boards.
So you both, Chad and Laura, spoke to what was the question that you would like to be asked, and I loved your answers. But Dan, what would you say to 17, 18-year-old Dan coming in?
To any person coming into a college scenario, just be open-minded, really. It's the worst thing to come into a school and just, tunnel vision. Don't do that. You know what I mean? I learned so much, and I've gotten into so many different genres of music, met so many different types of people. I'm so happy to have like a diverse culture to be around, and just really keeping my mind open and just having a good work ethic. Those are the things that I'm really focusing on every day.
Dan has a great work ethic. Dan is maximizing his education because so much more happens than just in class. And and the opportunities are there, and that's where the faculty come into play. You know, you have faculty that are working professionals, you have faculty that are striving to make the student experience as best as it can be.
Yeah.
The only thing we can't do is make students take advantage of them, you know? So I know that students are busy. I know there's a lot on their plates, and we don't expect our students to take advantage of all opportunities, but boy, when you can, it makes a big difference.
I try to take as many advantages, you know, all these opportunities I have to work on helping to manage the recording studios. You know, it helps me give, I know a level of these like studios. I know these studios maybe more than other students might because I'm working in there every day or something like that. I'm also doing the live sound, just constantly practicing on everything.
Thank you so much for taking your time to come in and talk to me about all the things music. This is getting me inspired again. Like, wow, this is great. Not only for myself, but for students like Dan and potential incoming students. So thank you so much for sharing.
Sure. Thanks, John.